It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And me and the panel, the Do Time group, talked about some of the things that older people say that when they were kids, they were kind of forced to do and then mess with them a little bit. Yeah, it left them unhappy in certain ways. And one of the things they talked about was forcing kids to hug and kiss relatives and family members. And that kind of teaches them that there are no physical boundaries, as well as they don't have any autonomy over their own bodies. And you know what? Hindsight is 2020 because yes, they meant well, but I don't know. It did leave room for some things to happen. And because these people were always close, it wasn't always said. So I don't know whether, we're picking up on that now, but thank you for whoever put that on the list. The other thing we talked about was banning certain things and not explaining why, such as drugs, alcohol, unprotected sex, and the fact that it's important to actually talk about these things and not just say, because I said so. Yeah. Well, like I said yesterday, you're not just going to pop up and say, don't use drugs, don't use alcohol, make sure you don't have unprotected sex without there being an explanation. Most times that comes, that's stimulated from a conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, do you want to go a little extra further, say a little extra stuff? That might be the thing, but at the end of the day, that won't be one of the things that, it's just, I said so. All right. One of the other things was teach your kids that it's not okay to be included in everything. These helicopter parents and their kids got to be busy and all of this kind of stuff. Well, we're going to see how that plays out later in life, because it's one thing to, get your kid in one solid activity, but to just be all over the place, I don't know if that's something that you really, really want to sink your teeth in. Yes, because what does that teach your child? Well, my question is then what do you do? Is that how you spend your day? I don't know. Are you spending your day ministering to people as much, witnessing as much? I don't know. Just because that it's there, or does your child need that much activity in their life, or is this you? Pay attention. The kids are speaking. The adults are speaking. And last but not least, we talked about the fact that everybody can't be a winner. Yes, somebody's gotta lose. And if we don't teach our children early in life that they are losers, then guess what? They're going to learn the hard way later when they don't always win. So these are some of the things that were on the list that older people are saying that our parents need to think about, because that did affect them earlier in life. Okay, so that's how we spent our Tuesday. Well, today Today is Wow Wednesday, and we are halfway into the week. We've got half of the week behind us. We've got half of the week ahead of us. God spares, and we're so grateful to God to be together today while everybody else is trying to figure out what they're going to do. It's hump day. How are they going to get through it? We've got Wild Wednesday and Vivian in our socially conscious segment right here with us. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time with Pastor Steph. It's on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
I've come to the conclusion that self-care is not an indulgence. It's a discipline. And the reason that I say that is because sometimes it requires us to do the tough things that are good for us. That might mean modifying our diet, setting boundaries, managing our finances, not being a strong friend, slowing down, or healing those old traumas and hurts. Essentially, self-care is to take care of the you today in order to benefit the you of tomorrow and the years to come. Now, I need you to make it your business to stay healthy, be well, and take care of you.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And that was one wow PSA. Self-care. Amen. Well, we're about to jump right into our great socially conscious segment with our girl Vivian. Let's say good morning to Viv. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wild Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well. Thank you, Vivian. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
That's good. My favorite question of the morning. What you got for us today?
Excuse me. All right. Today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with an update on the nurse strike. So if you remember last week or so, we spoke about the threat that there was a nurses strike coming. Well, now it has officially begun and is happening across New York City. They say nearly 15,000 nurses from major hospitals like Mount Sinai, Montefiore, and others are on strike after contract talks broke down. Nurses say they are fighting for safer staffing levels, better working conditions, and fair contracts, while hospitals say they're trying to keep operations running. Because of the strike, hospitals have been making some major changes, trying to keep things flowing. They brought in temporary nurses, postponed surgeries, and shifted staff to make sure emergency rooms stay open. City and state leaders are involved, with officials urging both sides to reach an agreement as soon as possible, of course. For now, hospitals say patients should still seek care if they need it, but the strike is already putting pressure on the healthcare system as talks continue. Many patients are already speaking out. Patients and their families are saying the situation feels very unsafe and that they're already feeling the effects. People waiting for care have told reporters they're being told to leave the hospital early, or that procedures are being delayed because regular staff aren't available, and that temporary replacements cannot fill every gap. Some patients say they're worried about getting the attention and the care that they need, especially during a busy flu season when hospitals are already stretched thin. Next, we have a new state audit that has taken place, and they're saying that they have found some serious problems with New York City's rent assistance program. They're saying this rent assistance program is meant to help families avoid homelessness, but auditors reviewed a sample of 75 cases out of roughly 8,000 cases. So they just take a small portion of these cases and they go out and they audit them, and they are finding some serious problems. They're covering about $671 million in contracts. They found unsafe living conditions like mold, pests, and missing safety protection. In nearly half of those cases, basic paperwork was missing, including proof that families even qualify for these programs. The audit also found weak oversight of landlords and nonprofits running the placements. And 30 of the 75 cases that they looked at, income was never properly verified, and some landlords were paid rent above market rates without required approval. In a separate review of tenant complaints, about 1/3 of the households requesting transfers said that they are trying to escape unsafe apartment conditions, raising concerns that these problems are not isolated incidents. So they only looked at 75 of the 8,000 apartments, and they found all these issues already. They're saying while the city says it's working to improve inspections and tracking auditors, they're warning that programs cost has ballooned from around $176 million to more than $8 million, with projections reaching $1.2 billion. And they're spending all of this money only to find that these apartments, these rent-stabilized apartments, these apartments that's supposed to be helping people come out of homelessness, they're not being properly taken care of. The paperwork is not being properly done, and people are getting these apartments when they don't really qualify, and landlords are being paid more money than they're supposed to. So of course, something that's supposed to be helping the people is not being done properly. And now they're trying to fix all of this as soon as possible. Next, we have our New York Governor, Kathy Hochul, in the headlines. Hochul. She is pushing for new gun laws aimed at ghost guns. These are guns that are built at home. They don't have serial numbers and they cannot be traced. The state says that this is already a big problem. Since 2023, police have taken more than 3,400 illegal guns off New York City streets, and now 750 of them were ghost guns in just 1 year. What Hochul is trying to do is close the loopholes that allow people to buy gun parts online and or use 3D printers to build weapons without background checks. Her plan would treat ghost guns like regular guns under the law, meaning parts would need serial numbers. So any parts that they would order online needs to have a serial number. Sellers would be regulated, and it would be harder to quietly build a gun at home without a paper trail. This push comes from the U.S. Supreme Court, ruled that the federal government can regulate ghost guns, clearing the way for states like New York to crack down on this issue. So good for her. And now we have our wow story of the week. An 11-year-old special needs student named Joshua Sykes, who attended a special education program out in Virginia Beach, is at the center of a disturbing lawsuit. Reports say Joshua struggled with emotional regulation as part of his disability. On the day of question, he became upset, and staff placed him alone in what the lawsuit calls a makeshift classroom prison. There was no indication that Joshua was violent. He was not accused of hurting himself or anyone. Instead, the isolation was allegedly used as a routine response rather than trying to calm him and supervise him and help him through his issues. While confined alone in this makeshift classroom prison, the lawsuit says Joshua became increasingly distressed, crying for his mother and repeating the phrase, "No more angry bear." While isolated, Joshua began repeatedly banging his head on the floor. Staff are accused of failing to properly monitor him or step in as distress escalated. Despite knowing that Joshua struggled with emotional regulations and knowing that he struggled with self-harming behaviors, they put him in this room and left him there alone. By the time help arrived, it was already too late. Joshua collapsed and died from head injuries. According to the lawsuit, Joshua's family says his death was not an accident, but the result of unsafe isolation practices and adults failing to protect a child who was clearly in crisis. What a sad story. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian VM. And come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers and listeners. And thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Viv. Thank you. Woo! What a set of socially conscious stories. You did it one more time. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we'll pray that you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Woo, we got some stuff to discuss. But before we get that done, let's say good morning to our loyal viewers. So if you're out there, you're going to have to let me know. And the only way you can let me know is if you give me a shout out in the chat room. So please make sure you do so. All right. We got to check in from our boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. A check in from our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got to check in from Teresa. Hey, Teresa, good morning. Good morning. And good morning. Our boy Serge is in the house. Welcome back, Serge, to the 9 to 5. All right. We got our girl, Tamika, in the house. Thank you so much. Tamika's hanging out with us in the room already. She says, great PSA. Yes. What a great PSA today. If Miss Grace is out there, we want to say a good morning. Hope you're doing well this morning. And we must say good morning to the ladies who hold it down for us each and every day. We got a check-in from our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice. And we got a check-in from our girl Anika. Thank you, Anika. And did you miss her yesterday? Oh, she did. Say good morning visibly. So if you missed her, you got to go back so you can see who's behind the scenes and all that she does on a regular basis. All right. So let's say good morning to the ladies. Let's say good morning to our girl Tamika, Lady Tamika. Hey, good morning. Let's see if we can get some audio over there.
Good morning. How are you?
There we go. Good morning to you. How are you?
I am well. Happy Wow Wednesday to you.
Thank you. Same to you. How's your throat doing?
It's getting better. I'm still under voice therapy. So
Okay,
as you
okay.
can see, I'll consume water multiple times during the broadcast just to maintain.
All righty. Well, we'll take it. We'll take it. Thanking God for your healing. Glad to have you back with us on a regular basis. How's that brother Al doing with that hand?
He's doing well. He's climbing. Well, doing a lot of, at one point his finger, he couldn't bend it further than that. He's almost at a point where he can almost get that pinky to the end. And it's so funny.
Okay.
You don't realize that just because you hurt your pinky, you think that that's it. But it also encapsulates the wrist and the other fingers. Right. Sometimes he wakes up and all the fingers are stiff, especially the middle.
Right. Okay.
He's doing well.
Okay. Good. Tell brother Al he ain't getting no younger. He can't be messing up those body parts. All righty. Thank you so much for the update. Where's our girl Shantice? Let's say good morning.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
All right, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. All right, ladies. Let's get at it with Vivian's socially conscious subjects here. Well, we talked about the possibility of a nursing strike. Well, it is on and popping. It has begun across New York City. An estimated 15,000 nurses from Mount Sinai, Montefiore, Presbyterian, and possibly other hospitals are striking for better working conditions, pay, fair contracts, so forth and so on. Now, of course, there are some major changes. We've got some temporary nurses in effect. They have had to postpone services and surgeries, and needless to say, the natives are getting quite restless and a little nervous, as they have been told to continue to seek care, but they have spoken out and they feel that things are very unsafe. They are definitely feeling the effect. They've been told to leave the hospital earlier, and they're looking around at temporary replacements. And we know that those people can't fill the gaps. They're wonderful, but it's hard to step in. And during this busy flu season, there's a major concern about this. Lady Tamika, what's going on in your head when you think of 15,000 nurses who are now on the picket line opposed to in the hospital?
Right. And you think about all the lives that are being affected. Nurses have a rapport with the patients. They take time out to get all the information so that when the doctor does get there, he or she gives you their 5-10 minutes of whatever, and all of the people that are now not well at the same time. It's kind of so almost like COVID hitting us again. A whole lot of people are sick, and not enough people to take care of them. That's a really scary place. Not only that, in addition to just the flu, you got people with other health concerns, and they need to go to, we're talking about surgeries being put off, and for somebody's life, putting off a surgery is, major, and what do we do now? Okay, you got a replacement, but this replacement doesn't know as much as someone who's been there for, let's say, 30, 40 years, who basically has a good rapport with the patient. That's really traumatic.
Yeah, absolutely. Shantice, Vivian says that the powers that be are really encouraging both sides to find a happy medium.
I'm blown away at the having to postpone surgeries. Most surgeries are not elective. These are well-needed procedures that have to take place. And again, when we think about the roles that these nurses play, they pretty much do everything outside of hold the scalpel during the surgery. the care that takes place before, sometimes during, and after these procedures is imperative for each patient. So it's, I'm pretty sure that these nurses are not out there happy that this is taking place, because you have to have a heart for nursing. It's like social work. Difference is the pay grade, of course, but it's like social work. You go in understanding, especially emergency room nurses. You go into that high value, you're prepared for it, you're equipped for it, but you go in knowing that you care enough to deal with all of the, chaos and the high volume and all. So to be out there picketing, we don't even know how it's, affecting them as well. But unfortunately, they've been pushed to take on this action in order to get not what's desired, but what's needed for them in order to continue to do what they need to do. Lady Tamika brought up COVID. I'm just thinking about how many nurses neglected their own families, going home to their own families to stay and to continue to assist with and care for the patients and co-workers at their hospitals, at these, living facilities for the elderly, and so on and so forth. We have to take care of those that we expect to take care of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I just got finished being hospitalized, and I got to tell you, I was in Presbyterian, Queens, and the nurses are top notch. Kudos to them. Really, really well taken care of. I was there for 7 days, and not one day was I unhappy with the nurse. And I'm talking about day nurse as well as night nurse. There was just a high level of care, a high level of concern. They were on point. I really could not criticize any of the nurses that were there. And I have a very close friend who is an ER nurse, and I have another a couple of friends who are nurses, and I tell you, they work hard. And I look at how they assist the doctors. And if it were not for the nurses, it's almost like the office and the support team. The boss is the boss, but the support team actually keeps that business humming and running. So, for them to want better working conditions and fair contracts and better pay, like Shanti said, give them what they want. Give them what they want. They are definitely deserving of it. So, they're asking, both sides to come. How could you even let this happen at this time? With all of the Vivian's been talking about the numbers that have been surging. I told you all when I went there, you couldn't even move sideways in the ER room. You couldn't even move sideways. The beds were like connected. So how could you possibly even allow this to happen during this time? So that just shows the negligence of the powers that be and their lack of concern for the patients, as well as think about the pressure, ladies, that the temp nurses have. Think about the pressure that they are under. It's always harder to be a temp, but to be a temp and you're under some high pressured, conditions, that's not going to be a good thing. That is not going to be a good thing. So hopefully
they just found a new case or 2 new cases of Legionnaire's disease,
Wow.
And so, you're talking about the outbreak of the flu, Legionnaire's disease, and then surgeries. And just your normal everyday, I need, assistance with blah, blah, blah. Nurses do so much. Give these people their money.
Right. Absolutely.
On the second time of 3 days in a row. Now, don't push it any further now. Give these people their money, please.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I have been in the hospital many times, and post-surgery, and I'm talking about serious surgery. I'm not talking about my big toe was hurt. Then I had an ingrown toenail. I'm talking about some real serious stuff here. And you want top-notch nursing going on around you when you are experiencing recovery. You don't need, this issue of, you look around, you like, well, where's everybody? So, and let me tell you something. Some patients give those nurses hell. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, they give these nurses hell. So, imagine enduring, you're new, you're under pressure, and you're trying to give, everybody the same amount of care. That's just going to be really, really very difficult. Terrence says it's crazy now how people need nurses since they're on strike and they're not doing nothing, but you never needed them when they were there. It's crazy. Nika says, and COVID is back on the rise. Nurses had to quarantine in the hospital from caring patients, not to affect their families. They go above and beyond many times. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Next on the list, we have this new state auditing program that is watching out for this homelessness and this let's say this housing of the homeless. And oh boy, this has not shown well. Now, they said out of the thousands, 8,000, they only audited 75, and they found that that they were really underneath where they needed to be. They said that quite a few were missing safety protection. There was mold and rodents. Families may not even be qualified who were in there. There was income that had not been verified. Landlords who were paid above the rent market rate. Oh my goodness, they have had tenant complaints. People are trying to escape these unsafe conditions. Now imagine being homeless. Remember all of this talk of, we're trying to make sure that we hurry up and get some homes available for the homeless. And here we are, 75, only 75 that they've audited out of 8,000. And they have found that these things are not being properly taken care of. Bad landlords or bad landlording, let's say, and people who are not even qualified. Boy, they seem to be doing a great job at doing something for the homeless, huh, Shantice?
Oh, please. I was thinking about the other day. I was like, I want to drive past grandma's building and look up at her window. Like, I wonder if they rented that apartment out. And I asked myself, I wonder if they cleaned the apartment. Because I remember Vivian doing a story on how many vacancies they have, but yet they have not even taken the steps to clean these apartments out so that they can be rented, or so that they can have all of these migrants that they were bringing in occupy the space. And I remember saying, okay, so give these migrants something to do. They're out here terrorizing the streets, so they're walking around all day because you didn't shut the school down, that you had them, spending the night in during school hours. Give them something to do, even if their pay was to live there. Okay, you want to live here? You got to clean it up. How many of them would have as you always say, Pastor Steph, they would have walked in them buildings and was what you doing here? I'm waiting for you to open the apartment so I can clean it. As you said, in order for me to stay here, I gotta clean it. And it's really, there's no excuse, again, especially when you're talking about New York City. There is no reason why there should be any vacancies, no reason why there should be any space that you cannot stay in with all of the people who would be willing even to volunteer, because again, God puts it on so many people's hearts to even go in and say, you know what, all of the homeless people, that all these homeless veterans, these people who give their lives, their sanity to this country, and yet you have no place for them to live, or you say, okay, well, there's an apartment here, but it's just like sleeping on the sidewalk because a rat might run up on you. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because our focus is on so many other stupid, useless factors that's going on out here. We can't even take care of something as imperative as this. It's sad.
We're just getting started with this. How sad it is, Lady Tamika, because Eric Adams and Mom Donnie. Everybody's talking about how they want to change this homelessness situation, and this is what they did and found when they audited 75 apartments only out of 8,000.
That's not even a tenth of the amount. You didn't do your due diligence at all, and as someone who services some of the homeless population, I see now why people are outside in tarps, because it's safer for me and my girlfriend or whatever and my baby sometimes, unfortunately, to lay up under this tarp. We know how to keep it warm. We don't have to worry about, being treated, worse than a human by a landlord, and you're not doing your due diligence. Me, living with rats in an apartment as opposed to, guarding my territory underneath this tarp. It's horrible. And, I think about the other thing, like in my old neighborhood, they built this new dog park. So you're more concerned about the greenery and things looking pretty than to take care of our neighborhood. In New York, New York and Vegas are like one of those places where every time you turn around, something is being built. We got so many different buildings that are dilapidated and torn apart. All of those buildings could be fixed, and renovated for someone. Okay, fine. You claim you don't want them in your neighborhood. Okay, then find an area. Find a place that's been broken down that somebody can put together so that they can live in that place. You don't want them in the shelter, or they're not comfortable in the shelter. Find the right and do the right thing by these people. They're people just like you, and so treat them as human beings.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm so glad that they are doing an audit, because this will reveal, and this has begun to reveal, all of this talk that has come up empty. Like I said, Eric Adams, you remember, he was supposed to be all over the homelessness situation, and Mom Donnie, he's coming up in here now, and he says, I'm going to expedite this homelessness and blah, 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 blah. And we talked about this, ladies. We talked about the fact that you're going to have to make sure you do this thing the right way. You can't just open up a building and throw the people up in there. Well, we already see that there are flaws, because you're saying that there are some people who are not even qualified. What does that even mean? This is supposed to be for the homeless. How are they not qualified if they're in housing? Did they not provide the proper identification? Remember, Vivian said some of them haven't even had their income verified, and we know all homeless people are not, some people work, but they're homeless, so we know that just because you're homeless doesn't mean that you don't work, but whatever income they get has not been verified. So you're talking about, she said $671 million is just put into this program. That's a lot of money to now not be perfected. When you put that kind of money out, listen, there should be like palaces. Palaces. Right. Come on. There's no reason for this. And like you said, Shantice, in New York City, with all the qualified people who can build and who do contracting work, and all these people who are actually qualified to do the work, give them some type of, let's say, temporary licensing under like a major contractor,
Right.
and let them work, and give the contractor the kind of freedom to say, you know what, you sent me Billy Bob Thornton, and I found that he can do this, so I put him there. Some people just need that work, and some people just need to hone that craft. And if they work, let's say, a certain amount of hours, or if by the time the project is finished, said contractor gives the thumbs up, now you can get a license. I mean, there's so many ways that you can get so much done here. And it could be housing for the homeless. There's job opportunities. Immediately start getting, like you said, Shanti's, get these homeless people employed. Okay, now that you live here, now you have the job of being the janitor. You have the job of being someone who does security, whatever it is. Where I used to live, they used to have like a roving security. I think they had like 23 buildings. And they hired some guys, and they would just kind of tour the 23 buildings just to make sure people weren't in the lobby, and the place didn't have garbage, and people, it just simple things. So there's so many things that you can now, you now put buildings with, let's say, a community room. So now you need somebody to kind of man the room. There are so many things you can get done if you just do it correctly, and you would have so many problems solved. So many. Put a daycare in the building. Qualify some of these people. Just because you're homeless doesn't mean you don't have qualifications. Listen, put a community room in there and start some literacy program, or oh my gosh, there's like a million. Why don't I have this job? Why don't I have this job? There are so many things that you can do right here. And we're talking about, well, Steph, we're only talking about homelessness. No, we're not, because we don't just want to put homeless people in housing. We need to help get them on their feet. And what better way to do this but to get them housing, immediately get them some incentive, start the programs from the time they get in there. Why not say, okay, instead of paying $3,000 a month, you pay $1,000 a month, but you must go to some kind of program, or oh my gosh, it's like so many things that can be done. And we're all the brains. Where are all the brains for all the money makers?
They're homeless people that they've been ignoring.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. So hopefully, prayerfully, there will be some increase in, just now that they've exposed 75 apartments and how they have fallen beneath, the specifications. Hopefully they'll be, on point and be able to take care of this better.
All right. Based on what you were saying, you build the building, and then the people inside. I mean, you know how much of a benefit it is for me to say, "Oh, I got work. I'm a secretary. I'm going downstairs in the lobby to handle, because that's where I work."
Right,
you don't have an excuse to be late because you work in the building. You live in the building.
That's right.
I would be there on time extra. I'll do a little extra because it's right there in the apartment.
Absolutely. There are so many things, Lady Tamika and Shantice. I think about all of the people who are homeless, who have, let's say, 17-year-old kids, who now can be responsible for maybe taking children to school, right, or watching them out, teaching them how to read, or again, an after school program, because remember, the elementary school and the junior high school must be zoned to your
Right.
location where you live. So
Right.
get those kids back into the building for the parents who need after school care, and get them into, again, get these teenage kids, get them working. We used to do counseling. You remember that, Tamika? We used to do counseling during the summertime as teen. Did you do that?
Oh, right. I do remember. Yes, I do.
Yes. As teens, we used to do counseling. It wasn't anything more than just working together with some other teens and under adult supervision to watch the kids. And you play games with them. And, there's so many things that you can give the elderly, all the way down to the kids to actually do, and start to motivate them and train them and prepare them to actually go out and get this. Teach them how to fill out job applications, and teach them the skill of interviewing. And I need a job, y'all. I need a job. I'm much more than just somebody behind a microphone. Hey, I'm here. Yo, there's like a million off at my head, just right off the top of my head. So
and I believe that they're able to think of these things too, Pastor Steph, again, but if it doesn't seem feasible to their pockets, it doesn't matter. And that's the sad part, where I'm pretty sure this comes up at the conference tables, at the board meetings. But if it's not, like Lady Tamika said, but we got dog parks, we have all, because dogs bring in money. And that seems so much more important than making sure that humans are home. Even have homes, their house.
But even people with pet care, that's something that you can teach them.
You know how many people we see walking with 3 or 4 dogs up the street?
Yes. Even that. Kids love animals. You know what I'm saying? So teach, even if you do, some interaction with them. Bring the canine unit in. They're not always working. Bring the canine unit in from the police department, and teach them. Oh my God, they need to pay me for my brain, because again, that was all of 5 minutes, and we've spewed out how many suggestions.
Right.
So let's just say that, like you said, Shantice, I'm sure we're not the only ones thinking of these things, that these things get executed. There's no reason why you can't pass 75 apartments, can't pass, ladies. 75 apartments, like you said, Tamika, that's not even a tenth of your, come on, 75 apartments, not even 75 apartments. So your first 1,000 apartments don't even pass inspection. What kind of mess is that? That's crazy. All righty. We're talking about our New York City Governor, Kathy Hochul, and she's targeting ghost guns. And those are guns that are built at home, that have no serial numbers. They can't be traced. They said they have taken more than 3,400 guns off the streets, and 750 of them were actually ghost guns. They are learning to build 3D weapons off the internet. So now she's targeting that, and how you cannot buy off the internet, and how sellers have to be regulated to do certain things before you can buy. And this is a big thing. This is a big thing. Remember now, if they're trying to stop guns from being put on the street, you can't catch them if you don't know they're there. All righty. Before we go into that, we have Vivian, who says they want credit for decreasing the homelessness, only to find out that y'all throwing them into unsafe housing. Shaking my head every time they come out with these successes. We hear the E True Hollywood story. It's so true. It's so true, Vivian. It's so true. We hear all the great plans and all the great accomplishments, and then when you go and you pull the onion skins back, all the dirt gets revealed. Oh my goodness. All righty. The ghost guns, Lady Tamika, what you got?
You know, I think it's a good thing that they're pulling them off the street, but you know, every time you find a way to make it harder for someone to find or to have access to a gun, they find another way. You know, that's just like, you know, the Metro card system. You know, before we had Metro cards, you know, there were tokens and people found a way to get up underneath the token booth. So they changed the token booth, you know, to make it complicated. Now we got the Omni. Now the Omni is brand new. They got people almost at every station now just to double check and make sure that you're tapping and not jumping or sliding under. It's almost the same thing. Every time you make something, you know, people find a way. Now 3D machines, you know, you creating guns from that. You know, I think it's a wonderful thing that she's trying to do so, and I'm hoping that they capture a lot more than what they've got thus far.
All righty. Shantice, the ghost guns, they're after the ghost guns. Should this be something that we pay attention to?
Absolutely. As it was said, when people are determined to produce what they want to produce, they're going to do it. And maybe it was said, and I missed it when Vivian was originally given the update. What's their plan on being able to target everyone who's doing this? Or at least as many as they can? Because again, this is almost like a black market situation. Where you're really not going to be able to dictate where it's coming from, when it's being produced and developed, how they're being transported. It's almost like you just going to wake up and bam, they're going to be on the street. So they're going to be in a classroom, and they're going to be on a job site, or wherever they're going to be when it's purchased and when it's transported. So what's the plan now that we hear that this wants to be addressed? What's the plan in ensuring that as many areas are being tackled as possible in order to ensure that this decreases before there's this huge, just like outburst of ghost guns, you know, around? Now you got people who wouldn't pass the background check, even though after the stories that were able to be brought to this platform alone, we've been able to determine that these background checks are not really thorough background checks anyway. It's almost like you might as well just hand them the gun and say, do as you wish. But what's their plan in order to, you know, attack it? Because almost like bed bugs and lights. It's like, are you really going to be able to to determine where this is coming from, or are you just going to see the producing of, you know, these weapons?
Good question, because that's kind of like what I have in my head. But Terrence says they have to pull the ghost guns off the streets, the ones who put them on the street, by showing us how to make them, also how to get them as well. Yeah, this is gonna be some kind of task, because like you said, they're ghost.
Right.
So I'm not saying she shouldn't, you know, they shouldn't target it, but you really got to have a plan here, you know, before, because like you said, you know, she knows that they're on the internet, and that's how you get them black market, you know, and you have people who are selling them live as well, people who are learning how to make the guns on, you know, off the internet. And here's my thing, and I want to talk about this for a minute, because this came up yesterday in one of our, was it yesterday? In one of our, either yesterday or Monday. And I think it was about something being on the internet. I'm trying to remember. And I'm saying, oh, wait, it was where the kid, you were talking, Shantice, about the YouTube Kids channel was showing cartoons that was giving kids the way to hang themselves, right?
Yes.
My question is, how come you can't monitor these websites better? So that comes along with this, you know, that they're being sold on the black market, but on the internet. Yo, why can't they create a division that actually, first of all, let's go back a little bit. Why can't you mandate all of these host sites? So you got YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, all of these internet host programs, right? And sites. Why can't you mandate one that they have a division that watches out for the safety of the community? So meaning that the cartoons are monitored, because as a YouTube content creator, when they're very strict. So I'm trying to figure out how this YouTube kids could have even come up with this. Because I see what they take me through. If I put one thing out here and this is copywriting and this is that, and they snag you for everything, how do you allow an internet to function where they can help you build guns, sell guns, buy gun parts, TikTok? How? Why can't they develop a department? First of all, like I said, the first level is mandate. Let's say YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You must have a division that monitors every one of your things. Listen, you're making the money, you make it happen. On top of that, now you as the government, now again, you got all these homeless people. Figure it out. Work it out. You got all these people who don't have a job, who are techie or tech savvy, and they can help you monitor so you can get things like this off the internet. Because how in the world are you going to find these people who are selling guns, these ghost guns? How are you going to find them when they're teaching you how to build the guns? How are you finding these people? You've got to be doing the search. You have to be searching. Lady Tamika, I'm going to give it to you first. Am I crazy? Or all we got to do is just get a little more creative and take the time, spend the money to actually search out these people more.
I was just thinking the same thing. I said, and in order to find that territory or that level, you got to get your hands dirty too.
Right.
So you can't just be up here just looking around. You got to dig up in there. You know, them nails got to get real gritty, you know. And so how much dirt do you want to get, you know? And so you're going to have to find people that have been incarcerated and released. You know, you're going to have to find informants. You're going to, you know, so those type of things. And you may have to go beyond what you want to go to get access, just to get access. We're not even talking about doing the due diligence. We're talking about getting access. And then once you get access, then how far? You know, you can't just be on the surface level. You're going to have to get up underneath that water, like in drowning level, where your feet touching the water, you know, touching the ground in order to get that. And that's real complicated. That's real muddy water, you know, and how far, you know, just to get access to those type of things. You really tread it, you know, going just for those that you could get your hands on, great. But, you know, how dirty you want to be? You want to just get a little soot, or you want to be filthy to the point where we smell you before we see you?
Right. Absolutely. Terrence says it's sad because all the things we need, all these divisions we need for everything and anything, we have them, but the government uses it when it benefits them. Absolutely. Shantice.
I agree. And I was thinking the same exact thing. When we go to upload our content on YouTube, we have to select whether the content is made for kids or whether it's not made for kids. When you hit that it's made for kids, there is another layer of screening that supposedly takes place in order to approve it for children. So that was another reason why it was very, extremely bugged out to me to hear this father say that his child was watching YouTube Kids, not just YouTube. And there was a cartoon, because we know that there's adult cartoons now as well, but that there was a children's cartoon that was teaching them how to hang themselves. So where are the people who are supposed to be monitoring these things? Because I've been asking this for the longest, and I've mainly been asking on Instagram or anything because, again, I've been saying the same thing. I remember a video of mine a few years ago being flagged on Instagram because of content that I added within my original content. And they almost deleted my page because of it. The content had nothing, no vulgar, anything vulgar in it, no profanity, nothing sexual, no none of that. But yet you almost deleted my page because of one video, because you felt it was infringing on someone else's content. Meanwhile, someone can upload a kid's cartoon that is teaching them something like how to tie a noose and hang yourself with it. Like, what are we doing? It has everything to do with, again, the money that's going in their pockets. And like Terrence said, if and how it's benefiting them. Because what's the extra layer of screening for? If putting my child in front of YouTube Kids, whether I'm sitting there watching it with them or not, is the same thing as if I just tell them it's okay to go on YouTube in general. So why are we differentiating YouTube from YouTube Kids? You might as well just have it open. You know, you might as well have it open. They definitely can continue, well, not continue, but enforce on every social media platform, because I can guarantee you, if they had to pay a fine for every time someone puts something up there that is hazardous to anyone's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual state to where they could get financially penalized, oh my goodness. Every time you put, it would be like when you join a group on Facebook. There are a lot of groups that you can join and you're a member, you've been approved to be a member, but when you go to post something, you get the message that says the administrator has to approve your post before it can be seen by everyone else in the group. That's exactly how every single social media platform will start operating. If they had to pay financially for every time someone says that content drove my kid insane, or that content led my kid to kill himself, or that content led my girlfriend to try to stab me, or if they had to pay, oh please, we would hate uploading anything, because everything would have to take that extra layer of time in order to get approved, in order for it to be seen on said platforms. And maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's what we need. And it would be annoying, but guess what? It would be better for it to be annoying than for it to mentally, emotionally, and physically and spiritually drive people out of their minds or lead them to death.
Absolutely. And that's the same thing I'm talking about. That brings me to the ghost gun searching. It's the same. It would be the same premise. You know, you are saying, you know, they're out here on the internet. They are selling them. They're teaching you how to build them. There's a 3D building of the guns now. So go after them. And clearly what you're doing is not thorough enough. I'm sorry, I missed one of Terrence's posts. I did read one. I do have one in the middle that I did miss. It's not that they can't create a division, that they have one already, but just don't want to use it the way they should be using it. All righty. So I apologize, I missed that one. But, you know, that's what they need to do. They need to get this fine-tuned so that these things are not as easy to get to. So if it's 10 layers heavy to get to, then make it 35 layers heavy to get to. Because we know that you're not going to be able to stop everything. I mean, because while you're awake trying to get rid of them, they are awake trying to find another layer that they can become exposed to. So we know that that they're working hard, but guess what? they see that they are working hard up, that we're working harder. Terrence says, yes, Shantice, agreed 100%. They want us to pay. That's another reason by not you that they're not using it. Yeah.
Everything
So
is
a lot to think about.
everything
Yes.
is dollar, which is horrible.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yep.
Nobody wants to do and check up on anything. I kind of see this like the apartment complex. Like, okay, you throw this out here, and now what? You know,
Right.
people killing each
Right.
other, and now what? Then
Right.
you want to blame the people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Our wild story of the week. All right. Wait, just got another comment before we move forward. Let's see. Terrence says they can stop anything. They just choose not to because they want you to pay. Try looking up how to kill Trump. I guarantee you the federal government will be in your house in less than a week. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
All righty. We have an 11-year-old special needs student out in Virginia Beach, Joshua, who struggles with emotional regulation as well as some other issues. He was upset and was put in a makeshift classroom prison in isolation. Well, that was their routine response, opposed to spending time with him, watching him, doing what needs to do. He spent time crying for his mom, saying no more angry bear, and he would hit his head repeatedly. And they knew this. I'm sure they knew this. Knowing that he struggled with self-harming behavior, they ignored it. Well, he ended up collapsing and died from head injuries. And the parents are saying this death was not accidental, but it came from unsafe isolation. Shantice.
Oh, goodness gracious. So you have this child that you are responsible for, who you know beforehand has issues with not knowing how to deal with his emotions. And your remedy is to put him in a box by himself. What part of your brain said this is the problem solver? Who was supposed to teach him how to regulate emotions? The wall and the floor he was hitting his head on? Then what are you there for? If that was the case, the parent could have left the child at home by himself when she went to work. If you think she would have to get him dressed to leave the home for you to do something that she could have done at the house, no one wants to do their job anymore. They are 1,000,000% responsible for this. You knew he was. I mean, you shouldn't do this to a child who is labeled sane. Because I mean, we all know a lot of these children that are labeled sane. It's questionable. But even for someone who is labeled sane, child or adult, when you put someone, and this is making me think about how I learned the reason behind these psychiatric hospitals and wards being all white. It's like, so you put them in these all white rooms, white walls, white floors, white straitjacket, everything to desensitize them from the colors, the vibrancy. And this is how you want their mind to be. We really need to start looking at the people who work with these children. I don't think there's enough screening going on here either. I don't think there's enough mental awareness, random checks, emotional random checks. Like when you apply for these jobs, I think you should be randomed so many times before getting the job and while having the job, because you probably need to be in a box somewhere. I don't understand at what point did you say, you know what, this is the answer, and to leave him alone long enough for him to do this. They should definitely be held responsible for this baby's death. That is sick.
Thomas says I would sue everybody and their mother. God forbid if that kid would have lived, they would have turned him into a monster later down the road. Oh, it's so sad. You will arrest us parents for treating our children a certain way, but you don't do that to the school system. It's
Right.
crazy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Your monitoring is off, Tamika.
I'm looking at every story that we've had today. Nobody wants to be the real babysitter. Nope, nobody wants to do their
Yep.
job. And anybody that's listened to this broadcast and has heard Brother Al say that there are certain things that you cannot do. Okay, so we're talking, okay, fine, great. We're talking about the state of New York, but this is Virginia. You know this child has issues. You've seen him hit his head before. This is not the first time that he's hit his head or banged something or hit another child or teacher or staff. Whatever the case was, it took them to this degree, and not only the teacher responsible, but the staff had to hear this child yelling, screaming, hollering, no more bear, and you left him to that degree that he hit his head one time. Not only so much so, but it took his life. Every single person that was anywhere near the vicinity, that staff is responsible for this child's death.
Absolutely. You either heard this or you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You either heard him banging his head or you saw him banging his head. So Shantice just showed the picture. I thought it was a child on this side of the fence. It's a child on the other side of the fence, which means that once he hit his head, he was red. He was black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
So my question becomes, all right, so when I pick up my kid and I see you black and blue, I see you red, black and blue during the day, and I'm your teacher, that there's no alarms that go off that say we need to monitor this situation a little differently. I need to ask a few more questions. What were we doing all this time? What were we doing all this time? That's my question. Just like Terrence said, parents, if it were a parent, they'd be all over you.
Nope.
However, in these daycares, in these nurseries, in these schools, they're not following up on this situation, these special needs children. And you know what? Again, start hiring more, because it's gonna cost you less that way than this way. Start hiring more. All you need to do is send someone in there who's going to flag. You know what? Something doesn't look good. That needs to be investigated. There are so many people that don't have jobs that can qualify for, like you said, Tamika, in all of these areas that need babysitting. All these areas that need babysitting, there are people who qualify. So get these people out. For this kid to be self-harming himself, and nobody paid attention. Where's the principal? Where's the assistant principal? Where are the other teachers? This kid had to be seen by more than just whatever teacher was putting him in this isolation area. Somebody had to have seen him. Nobody says anything. So yeah, there would be some lawsuits out the wazoo. But again, I say, I have Shantice has her complexion. I have another daughter who's maybe a little lighter than Shantice, and I have Tamasia. I have Miss Tamasia, who's nice and light. And whenever Tamasia ran up into something, I could immediately spot. I'm like, what'd you do? What happened to your leg?
Right.
What happened to your arm? What happened to your... If I look at any of the three of them, I'm like, what happened to you? Just out of curiosity. And they're adults. How do you let your child who has a special need, how do you ignore this? How do you ignore this? How do you not spot little Joshua coming home every day with bumps, bruises, black and blue marks, and you don't ask any questions? Because this was not the first day they did this to him. How do we let this happen? We got to check in from Pastor KL. Hey, Pastor KL. We got from Terrence. Yes, Tamika, seems like no one wants to do their job. I'm starting to think that they don't mess with these child places and schools because they have things in place, lawyers in place to help them with anything that happens. Right, they do. They do have attorneys. Make them make their money. Because y'all will be sitting up in court and he'd be defending y'all. Plain and simple as that. Plain and simple as that. Make him make his money. He's being paid just to be on what do they call it, on a retainer. Guess what? Make him make his money. Plain and simple as that. They do have attorneys. Oh my goodness gracious. All righty. Thank you so much, ladies, for indulging me on our socially conscious segment. I have an update. Speaking of lawyers and courtrooms, remember a few weeks ago, we talked about the woman who was ordered to pay $1.75 million, in Carolina for sleeping with her, I think it was her manager at the time, and the ex-wife took them to court. Well, there's been some update. So first off, her name is Brene Kennard, and she has been ordered to pay. She admits she's been on a couple of interviews. She's been on Dr. Phil. She's been on the Tamron Hall show. And she talks about the fact that, yes, she was ordered to pay $1.75 million to Mrs. Akira Montague. Now, she is now the new wife of Tim Montague. So they are now married. All right. And she says that while they were, check this out. This didn't come out the first time. That she and Akira, which is the ex, they were friends. And she spent quite a bit of time in the home. Child. This must be some millennial stuff because, baby, we were always taught quite different. All right. Mm-hmm. And she said while she was in the home, she had been making videotapes and messing around, doing selfies in the home. And at one point, she even did a video saying how she couldn't wait to be Mrs. Tim Montague. And all this while, Akira had no idea that she was actually messing around with the husband. So at one point, being pressed by Dr. Phil, he kept asking, were you involved with her husband during the time you were spending time at the home? And initially, she kept saying no. And then after a while, she broke down and said, yes, she actually, was, because he asked the husband, Tim, the both of them were on this interview, and he asked him, well, were you cheating at the time? And he was like, no. And later on, Brene actually admitted that they were cheating during the time that she was visiting their home. She said that she also, Akira, had given her consent to them being together in the home. So there were times when they were in the home, but that she claims that they were alone in the home. These two were home alone. And that Mrs. Akira, at the time, the ex, knew that this, that they would be alone, but quote unquote, didn't assume anything was going on. And she says during the interview that yes, she's been sued and yes, she has to pay. She's been ordered to pay, but she has no intention of paying her this crazy amount of money. And she could sue again because she didn't learn her lesson. That's what she said. That's what came out of her mouth. Lady Tamika, it's on you.
Wow. Like, if we don't know by now, just in general, there is a fine line and things that we can allow. Okay, fine, you're my friend, but you are my friend. You don't stay nights and weeks and whatever time in my home with my husband. My husband and I have a ruling. He got friends, I got friends. His friends don't come by here when he's not here. I don't care. Well, I just figured I'd stop by. I'm a little early and Al, and I, we supposed to such. Okay, you can sit in the car until he gets here. You can wait until he gets here. He's coming here at 5. You're here at 3 o'clock. Come back at 5. There has to be an establishment. We often talk about boundaries when we talk about red flags and things like that. You opening up this door for all this such and such, and then you go, oh, I had no idea. The other thing that I often, hear, your spouse, he's just like a brother to me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. And now you suing because you had no idea. Honey, you might as well have just taken him and her and link them hand to hand and say, here, while I'm gone, you do this.
Child. Before we go any further, Terrence says, Steph, do you think the family never said anything about the kid due to the fact that he has special needs and that they were automatically assuming he might have fell or this might have happened because of his special needs? I'd be asking more questions. Because remember now, he was supposedly continuously hitting his head. How you constantly falling on your head in the school? What y'all doing? Either way, it screams neglect. So you're absolutely right. If he has special needs, maybe there's some physical issues going on, and maybe he's a child that falls all the time or whatever. But guess what? Then I'm sorry, what are y'all doing to protect my child while he's in the school that he doesn't constantly fall? Or if he is falling, that he doesn't constantly hit his head? So that's a question. But my response is, as a mother, nah, y'all be answering some questions because he ain't just came home with this bruise on his head no one time. So how much is he falling in your care? Something wrong. And I'm mad. All righty. Terrence says she's been cheating for a long time. That's how and why he married her so fast. Wow, I'm mad. You just put that picture of them up. Yes. All right, Shantice, what said you?
This sounds like a menage a trois that went terribly wrong. This sounds like we agreed to involve her in the bedroom, and when I looked up, I wasn't included in the bedroom. y'all were happy doing your own thing without me. So you excluded the wife, and y'all just had y'all thing going on to the point where now you want to leave me for her. Because again, I agree, and it is a millennial thing, and people think. And see, again, this is why when you allow God to show you things through His pair of eyes and with a higher level of standards, and you think back on your once upon a time life, you read things very differently. You see through a whole lot, and I learned my lesson the hard way with the introducing my man to friends, and they cool, and next thing I found out they so cool to now you end up in her bed. How I never had that level of cool. in a sober mind. I ain't never had that level of cool with my friends, and because stuff like that happens. It happens when it's not put in your face. It happens when it's not put in your face. I've been there. I've been on the other side. It happens when it's not put in your face. So for it to be planned that I'm gonna introduce you to my man, or no, you'll meet him at the wedding when you're invited with the other guests, and you don't come over to my husband. No. It sounded like this was a plan for all three of them to get together, and it went sideways. And now the wife is salty, and now she wanted to sue. And like Terrence said, he's been seeing her all this time anyway, so now it was nothing for him to now bump her up to wife status, because I've been rocking with you as wifey anyway. But and you know what is very disturbing, and call me insensitive, because I know someone right now who is battling something very traumatic, but I'm not feeling too sorry for them, because the remedy is right here in their face, and they don't want to take the answer. They rather go over here, and the over here includes the public display of what I'm going through. And it's like, shut up, you ain't going through nothing. You're choosing to go through this. So how is it that y'all on a Tamron Hall show, and y'all, ma'am, you are the side chick. How you now get to be on the Tamron Hall show? And this is why people don't value the proper status like that. Because as a wife, why I didn't get to be on the Tamron Hall show, but the side chick gets to be on the media tour? How does this work? So now we're glorifying the fact that you've been sleeping with this woman behind your wife's back. Because Tamron Hall ain't the kind of journalist that they needed to be sitting in front of someone like Charlamagne on the Breakfast Club. They didn't hit the right talk, the right journalists. They didn't, because a real hood journalist would have tore that story apart. They would have never wanted to be in front of the camera. They would have never wanted to be in front of the camera again. Story. Those are the type of journalists that need to be around, because all these other ones that are pacifying it and so what happened and all of what? No, we this is why we're not rising other people. As far as culture is going down, we have to stop glorifying and publicizing all of the stupidity and chaos just so that we can get some type of sympathy. And woe, it's me. This is what I'm going through. You're putting yourself through this, and you want the popularity from it, and it has to stop. It didn't end with the lawsuit. Now we on media tour. This is too much for me. Yeah. This too much.
But the sad part about it is she's not the side chick. She's the inside chick. Looking from the wife's perspective.
Right.
Because we are best friends. So that means I'm giving you all my information. I'm telling you about my frustrations about my man. And 9 times out of 10, she's talking about positions. The way that this looks, she gave the best friend all of the information that she needed to slide in. And then you allowing him to have one-on-one time. You allowing them to have one-on-one time. Oh yeah, that door is wide open. Wide.
Oh yeah. Terrence says, yes, Shantice, it does sound just like that. That's why she said she's not paying her that money. She don't want to put it out there. You agreed to it. That's what this was all along. So, in the words of the OJs, They smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place. The backstabbers. Yes. Yo. This when I read this story last night, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. First of all, whether they were best friends, whether they were friends for 2 days, whether they were friends because they both knew him, I don't care how they were friends. You were friends, you were up in the house, and now you end up with the husband. Something's wrong. And now you want to claim that you were never doing anything, and this was, y'all were separated when, remember that was the conflicting story, that they were separated when they got together. So therefore, how could we have broke up? How could I have broke up a happy home? Blah 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 blah. Here's the thing. She said, I'm not paying any money. She didn't say, I'm not paying any money because we fell in love afterwards. She said, I'm not paying any money, period. I'm not paying any money. And I wouldn't be surprised. I did not think of the menage a trois thing, but I'm going to be honest. Now that Shantice then brought it up, makes you want to go, possibly. What was really going on? When I heard too that they were married, I was blown away. I was like, well, where'd that come from? They're married? So you got married to her with a $1.75 million bill hanging over her head, with you being the center of the reason of the bill? Yo, ain't that much love in the world. Number 3, I was like, the same question, Shantice. I'm like, how are y'all on a tour? Is that? So now we're going out on these, now we're getting paid to now talk about what we did. And I'm like, yo, not only that, I'm going to go here. Now, I know journalism is journalism, but I'm sorry. Y'all sitting up in front of Dr. Phil? Y'all sitting up in front of Dr. Y'all sitting up in front of Dr. Phil? Yo, are you for real?
They didn't sit in front of the journalists. They didn't.
You sitting up in front of Dr. Phil?
They should have been on here. They should have been in front of these journalists.
We'd have ripped them to shreds.
Okay.
On Relationship Mondays.
Okay. And let Terrence be sitting up in the background.
Singing in the background.
Yo. I was blown away last night when I came across this story, because I'm like, you can't be serious. I see 950 things wrong with this. Even if it was what you claim, that you two were friends and you didn't fall in love until after their marriage had already gone down the drain and blah, 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 blah. You still don't belong on no tour. You still don't belong on no tour.
And all of them are nasty. If you ask me, all of them are nasty. Everybody. You know, the husband's nasty, the best friend is nasty. Y'all just nasty. You know, and even the wife, unfortunately, for opening up that door. Come on, wake up.
What a stupido. What a stupido. She was so stupid. Here's where I was going to go earlier. Now, that's why I say it's a millennial thing. Back in the day, you were told, ain't no woman coming and sitting up in my house with me and my husband.
Please come on up in here.
Okay. Not only that, you were spending the night. This is why I say Shantice's idea is becoming quite a possibility. Yeah. Because my thing is, and what? Come on, this has got to be some new thing, because back in the day, you were told you do not open your door to no woman, because here's the thing, he ain't let no man come sit up in there with you.
Nope.
So now you gonna let a woman sit up in your house, and I'm gonna leave y'all alone. I'm going up in the kitchen. I'm gonna cook dinner for you. I'm gonna make up the spare bedroom. Yo, This is literally insane.
It is definitely, like you said, Pastor Steph, because transparency moment, I was the one that was spending the night. It's real. It's real. It's real. So I'm having a Minister AJ moment. It's real. And it's not until someone gets salty for whatever reason or reasons that now you want to sue. And because even that is just like bogus. That's why the lawsuit became a media topic. Because I can see now this being an agreement, a mutual agreement between all three parties. And then the wife feels salty one day and says, you know what, I'm suing you. And the side chick and the husband looking like, girl, if you don't sit down and eat this chicken and shut up. What you talk about? Because how long we been doing this? We planned this back in 2017. It is now 2025. Shut up. Ain't really listen to that. And she's like, oh yeah? You think I'm playing? Oh yeah? Okay. And next thing you knew, she probably got served at work or something and called him like, do you realize she really trying to sue me? And now this becomes like a serious thing, but a big joke. Because everyone remembers at the point in time when this was an agreement between all three parties. Everyone agreed in their right mind. What are we doing? That's why I keep saying I don't understand how these couples agree to have these menage a trois and then we're gonna make rules. There are no rules. There are no rules. So I don't understand. I've watched movies. I've watched everything. They literally sit down and get the paper and write rules. How are there rules to inviting someone else into the bedroom? There are no rules. That's why you want to do it, because you want to feel free. But now we're going to make rules. And the second somebody breaks the rule, now the other one is extra salty. And no one thinks they need to read their Bible and follow why God says, don't do these things. Because we're not about that life. I don't care how much we think we can handle these things. None of us are about that life, because the second things don't go the way we want them to go, like you said, Pastor Steph, your wife can make up the bed and cook and offer the extra set of linen to the wife. Let you wink at the mailman. It is over. We saw the video yesterday. You did the story yesterday about the man who got upset at the wife because he felt she winked at the black customer or something like that. Men can't handle.
Smiled. Black customer.
She smiled. Men will agree to these things when it involving another woman, but God forbid a man hands your wife a tissue, you ready to go postal on everybody. We're not about this. Like, we need to stop. We need to stop. This is just horrible.
Well, we did the story about the woman who was hanging out in the swingers chat room. And she was with the guy. And then remember, she goes back and she invites her boyfriend to the menage a trois, asks the guy, can we have a menage a trois, brings a boyfriend in, and now the boyfriend feels uncomfortable and ends up getting shot and killed by the side guy. So clearly we can't handle these things. So come on. Like I said, none of this stuff, it came out in the initial story. None of this stuff came out. First of all, when she was sued, they were not married. They did not get married. Now they're married. We got a check in from Wendy. Hey, Wendy, thank you for checking in. She says, let everyone know Jesus is God. Yo, we need to be looking to Jesus and God. Because this is why we need Jesus. Because this here is, I agree 100%. This is a setup gone wrong. Somewhere along the line, I don't know if it was a full menage a trois. I don't know. But after all of this has come out, that's why she's openly saying, I'm not paying the 1.75. I'm not paying the 5. This is why she's saying that. She's saying that. openly, you on open media saying you're not paying this.
I wouldn't pay it either because we agreed to this.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. You're on open media saying this. There's a reason why. Ladies, thank you so much for your contribution. This has been fun. Into today's conversation, we pray you have a blessed day.
Have a blessed one.
You too. Thank you.
Woo! Again, the woo. That's how I end up with, or after each is due time with Pastor Steph. Oh my goodness gracious. We've gone from the nurses striking to the housing for the homeless fiasco, to trying to locate and stop these ghost guns, to the little boy who ends up with the death because he's smashing his head, from being a special needs child held in isolation. Let me make sure I got all of these comments out the way. Tara says, it would get the right answer from them. It's less than 10 seconds if you mess with us. That's right, Terrence. We be grilling people. All right. Time went by so fast. That's how today was a great show. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you. And it's always a great show when you're contributing. We appreciate you. Shanti says, love the shirt, Pastor Steph. Thank you so much. What's this say? Grow in the Lord. Amen. Oh boy. And now we end up, our final story is the story of the woman who was sued for $1.75 million in North Carolina for breaking up a marriage. And initially, that's all that was said, that she ended up having an affair with her manager, and the wife of the husband of the man sued because she said before this woman got involved with their, in between their relationship, they were fine. They were having this wonderful relationship, and the woman got involved. And there is a law in, I think it was 5 states when we first did this story, in about 4 or 5 states that say, if you come between a man and a wife married, and they had a perfectly happy marriage before you got involved, and that includes clergy and therapists, by the way. It's not just someone who comes and has an affair. Yes, they're including clergy and therapists. And if you are responsible for breaking up that marriage, that you can be sued by one of the individuals. And I contend to say, well, if the marriage was all that great, you ain't got no business sitting up in front of no therapist. So the two of you went to the therapist willingly, and you're going to serve the therapist papers to go to court and sue. You went before the pastor or clergy to get counseling together, and now because you claim you had a great marriage, okay, stop. If you had such a great marriage, you wouldn't be sitting up in front of anybody's therapy or counseling table. So now we hear some other stuff coming out of the story. First of all, they're married. The two that were cheating are now married. Number 2, they claim that she and the ex-wife were friends. Now, Lady Tamika says best friends. I say, I don't care how they friends. Best friends, friends by association, friends, one state to another. I don't care. Internet friends, I don't care. This is a mess. This is a mess, especially when you are so brazen that you are on tour now talking about this thing and bragging as to how you're not going to pay this $1.75 million, despite the fact that you have been sued, you lost, and you have been ordered to pay this much. Grow in the Lord. But you first got to get on the path to knowing who God is. As Lady Tamika said earlier, everybody in Vivian's socially conscious segment pretty much somebody is lacking from doing their job. Whether you're talking about the people who are in charge of the nursing staff and what their benefits are, or the boy who teachers left him isolated long enough that he ended up killing himself by banging his head. Either way, everybody not doing their job. Somebody's falling short on the job. Well, here's what I love to think about. I love to think about that I serve a God who never sleeps nor slumbers. So see, there's a reason why I say follow God, because no matter how man fails you, and the word of God says man will fail you every time, but the Lord will never leave you nor forsake you. That's the kind of God that I keep making an appeal to you to get to know. Because somewhere along the line in our life, somebody's going to fail us, if not multiple people at any given moment. Sometimes we all have gotten to the point where it feels like everybody then lost their mind around here. And I'm getting it from this area, that area. I'm getting it from the kids, the husband or the wife. I'm getting it from the job, the next door neighbor, from the school, from the dog. I'm getting it everywhere. No matter how I treat people, no matter what I do, somebody and everybody lost their mind. But the one thing we can say is God is a consistent God. God is a God of decency and of order. And he will always do what's best for each of us. No matter how bad things may look, if you are serving God, you need to know that all things work out for those who love the Lord and who have been called according to his purpose. So, in other words, one way to kind of break this down is to say things work out for those who love the Lord and who are called to his purpose. Everybody involved. This one plays this role, this one plays that role. Who's called according to his purpose, things will work out. So that means if he's got to go get the gardener, if he's got to go get the mechanic, if he's got to go get the chef, whoever he's got to get to make this thing work out, to make this thing work out, he will. No matter what. As long as you love the Lord and you are doing what you do. So let's make sure that we start there first. Things will work out for those who love the Lord. Now here's the thing. Let me get a little technical on you, but a little basic. The word of God says, if you love me. Oh, so here we go. Don't love me the way you want to love me, but the Lord says, if you love me, keep my commandments. So we want all these things to work out for those of us who love the Lord, but we're not living what we're saying. We say we love the Lord, but our lives do not depict that we love the Lord. Ooh. So how can I tell if I really love the Lord? Well, the word of God has so nicely, basically, and technically put it. If I love the Lord, I'm going to be obeying his commandments. Well, Exodus 20 gives it up. The 10 commandments are right there, and they're in Deuteronomy as well. Jesus cites part of the commandments in the New Testament, so they never die. Remember, he says, I didn't come to destroy. I came to uphold. I came to be the living example of what this is. So here we have the Lord Jesus in the New Testament. This is why I don't understand how people say, I don't believe in the Old Testament. I only believe in the New Testament, because the New Testament has Jesus. But Jesus just referred back to the commandments. And the commandments were laid out where? In the Old Testament. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Oh, wait, hold up. Jesus just said my commandments. God gave the commandments to Moses on Mount Sinai. So remember now, Jesus and God work in sync. So Jesus said, I came to uphold. I came to live out. He's taking you right back to the beginning. There's no way in the world you're going to get around that. So if you want life to work out for you, if you want all this craziness to work out for you, if you have been living your life correctly and serving the Lord and you've been obedient and you're like, Lord, I just don't get this thing here. Things ain't working out. Just hold on. And boy, am I preaching to myself, because there are times when I have been waiting on God for something for so long. I'm like, I'm still waiting. But I have to remember, I'm forced to remember the word of God. That says, Stephanie, don't worry about it. All things work out for the good of them who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. And God just gave me a bigger understanding recently of the verse. Because again, I'm sitting back like, okay, Lord, it's been like 150 years and I'm still waiting. And the verse came back. And I said, let me just go back. I know the verse. I say it all the time, but let me just go back and read it. Let me make sure I ain't skipping over some words and I ain't rewording this thing. I want to make sure and when I read it again, there was a level of illumination that had never happened prior to that particular time. And that's the other thing I love about the word of God. I don't care how many times you read it, it always has a different meaning based on where you are in life when you read it. So when I read it for the first time 10 years, 15, 30 years ago, it meant that at that time. But here I am reading that same verse today and being on the edge of my seat about a situation that I have been waiting and God has been telling me and talking to me about. That verse was brought back to me by the Spirit of the Lord. And it always says in the word of God that the Spirit of the Lord will bring back to your remembrance. And ain't that something good? Ain't that a great thing? That you ain't really got to scratch your head? Because remember, God is not a God of confusion. He gets no glory out of your life when you walk around scratching your head trying to figure it out. So while I'm saying to God, okay, you said pray without ceasing. You said I need to do this. You said I need to do that. Okay. I'm still waiting. How many of us are there? How many of us have been there? It's like, Lord, I'm still waiting. Am I going to die before this happens? Did you say this was going to happen before I die or after I die? But God brought back to my remembrance that all things, and that's what we need to kind of hold close to our chest when we're reading the things that Vivian is giving us regarding socially conscious. You know, she's talking about the fact that they've gone on strike. I am a sick person and I could be fine at 8 o'clock. And by 8:05, I need to go to the emergency room, which is what happened the last time. At 5 o'clock, I ate a slice of pizza. And at 7 o'clock, I was in the emergency room with a life-threatening situation had God not intervened. So I need a nurse on duty. I need a nurse on duty that knows what they're doing. I don't need no standing nurse. I don't need no one who's worn out because she just a temp and she doing the best she can, but she trying to juggle and this thing just ain't working because she ain't used to this momentum. I need me a nurse who's settled and who knows what she's doing. But I must remember that all things, including my health, including the help regarding my health. I've been fine at 8 o'clock, and by 9 o'clock, I'm on a surgical table. And we're talking about nursing staff that's not there, and they have to reschedule surgery. Well, we know they can't reschedule emergency surgery, but how many on staff can be there to help my Dr. Satterfield? Because the nurses run the show. Trust me, they run the show. Like Shanti said, everything but the scalpel in their hand. So when God says, I'm there, I never sleep or slumber, I will never leave you nor forsake you, he is a man of his word. And regardless of what man says. So if we go back to the story of, this couple who's, if it's what Shanti says, and they had this original agreement and something went awry, somebody didn't play by the rules of the game, we don't have to worry about that. Because once God says that he's going to do something, he is a man who will keep his promise. He says, I'm not a man that will lie. I'm not like man. I don't change. I do not change. I don't flip on you. He is a man who will keep his promise. So while I'm sitting here and I'm saying, all right, it's been like 25 hours now. Okay, it's been 35 hours now. I have to keep coming back to, he's a man that will keep his promise. Even though the clock is ticking. So that's something that no matter what we cover in our news, no matter how many things we're concerned about, no matter how many times these news stories have been us, how many times these news stories will almost be us. And it's only God that steps in and prevents it from being us. It's God. It's God. It is only God. And this is why there's an appeal made to you every day. That when you do not seek God, when you do not put God first, you have put your hands and your life in the hands of the enemy. Yeah, I know it sounds real harsh, like that, Steph. What you mean? Listen, go to your Bible. God says you're either with me or you're against me. He said there's no middle. See, we want to believe that we can kind of toggle. We can kind of walk on that fence. But God says no. I'd rather you be hot or cold, because when you're lukewarm, I will spit you out. And like I always say, I cannot afford to be spit out in any shape, form, or fashion. So whether that spit out means my own life, whether that spit out means the lives of my children, my granddaughter, my parent, my sister, my niece, my nephew, my church members, my friends. Listen, if what I do has God responding that he wants to spit me out, then I'm not living right. If living where God wants to spit me out, then my living is in vain. Oh, yo, oh, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my time. I'm not wasting his time, because he's already declared what he's going to do with Stephanie. I'm wasting my time. So when I try to do things on my own and I have not consulted God and I'm going rogue, I'm wasting my time. Because how many times is he going to vomit me out and I'm going to be blessed? Oh my gosh. Just the thought of that makes me shiver. I don't want to know that I'm here every day with you, that I'm here every day preaching and telling people how great you are, and my own life is going in the toilet. Because the word of God speaks to that too. How are you going to save the world, but your own soul is going to hell? You lose your own soul, but you're trying to save the world. That indicates that everything we do matters. Everything. Because in other words, I can bring you to Christ, but now where's my own life going? That means that something I'm doing is off. And if I'm here with you every day, at least 2 hours every day, and over the past, couple of months, God has extended this thing, that it's not only 2 hours, that it's been another segment on a Monday night or whatever the situation is, then I'm doing overtime compared to before. So I'm now in overtime and I'm still losing. You gaining, but I'm losing. Isn't that what happened in this relationship? All that you did, you done possibly brought somebody into the relationship to turn it up. I'm in overdrive. I'm doing overtime in this relationship. And at the end of the day, I end up the biggest loser. The fact that they are married means nothing. They still have to answer to God as to what they did. So you think you told me I'm not going to pay this 1.75 million. You ain't got to pay the 1.75 million, because what you are going to pay going to be a whole lot more than 1.75 million. You getting off light. But when God calls you to task, you're going to wish you had that 1.75 million to pay and let it be over with. Because see, nobody can smash you like God. And this is why God has me in front of you every day, because he says, I don't want to see anyone perish. And that's not only at the end. He doesn't want to see us perish now. How many people are actually walking around the walking dead? You dead. You think you living. And you are just as dead as a doorknob. There's no real life in you because it's without God. And people don't understand. For those of you who have not given your life to God, let me tell you something. It's one thing when you have trials and tribulations and you don't have God. And it's another thing when you have trials and tribulations and you do have God. Because, baby, let me tell you something. Either way, it's a struggle. However, the promise for those of us who live in the Lord, who have trials and tribulations, says it builds endurance. It builds perseverance. You actually have hope. But it wasn't until after I sought God to be the head of my life, chose God to be the head of my life, that I actually realized that prior to that, I was hopeless. My life was hopeless. I thought I was good. I thought things were great. I thought I had the answer. I thought I could get out of it. I thought this was that, but not until I actually found God. So come on to this side of the fence. Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Because there's nothing like it. Once you're on this side of the fence, then you'll be able to do exactly what Pastor Steph does. Because see, the words that you share right now, no matter how wise those words are, sprinkle a little Jesus on that thing and really watch your words come to life. No matter how great your life may be, just sprinkle a little Jesus on that thing and watch how great your life really is. Watch all the things you actually have access to. If you think God is blessing you now, imagine when you make him first in your life. Imagine when you make him first, what you have actually available to you. So I hope this is a day that you will say, you know what, Pastor Steph, I'm with you. I'm going to start this journey. I'm going to start this journey. I don't know what I've been waiting for. But today is the day, and I'm not looking back. I'm going to take you at your word. I'm going to try Jesus, and I'm going to walk that walk, because I didn't walk the other walk. I've seen how that is, and although it may not be the worst thing in the world, I can always do better. I can always use better. So give me a call, Shantice. Make sure you put that phone number in the chat room. If you need to talk, if you need to pray, make sure you give me a call anytime you want. That's a special number. So look at it as the back phone. Oh, if you call that number, then I know you need help. Ooh. It comes through in a special way, that phone number right there. It rings on my regular phone, but it comes through saying, Stephanie, there's somebody on the other end of that phone call that is looking for me. Oh! They're looking for me, Steph. So you make sure you answer so they can help them find me. So see, you got somebody who's at your disposal. Make sure you use the number. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do by keeping that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to anyone. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Therapeutic Thursday. And tomorrow, we have our first episode of My 2 Cents for the 2026 year. We haven't decided what movie we're going to review yet, but I'll let you know tomorrow. Hang out with us tomorrow night, God spares. If not, hopefully I'll see you in the morning. Until then, I love you.